Hey friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and I am so excited that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me because today we're going to be doing our November TBR, but we are going to be using a spinner wheel with some prompts on it to do that. I am too lazy to make a prompt jar, so I just decided to type it all into a spinner wheel, and that's what we're going to do today. So let's get into these prompts and see what we get. Also, if you can hear my little space heater, no you can't, it's cold, but it's not cold enough to turn the heat on in the whole house, so I got my little space heater. Alrighty, so let's get into our first spin and see what we get. Five-star prediction. The wheel decided to be nice to me starting off. Our first prompt was a 5-star prediction, and for that I am going to be choosing How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin, and this is a mystery type book. So this book also has dual timelines. In 1965, we'll be following a teenage Frances Adams who is at an English country fair with her two best friends, and a fortune teller tells her that one day she will be murdered. So Frances spends her lifetime trying to solve a crime that hasn't happened yet, and no one takes her seriously, but 60 years later she ends up being murdered. So her niece in our present timeline, Annie Adams, has been summoned to a meeting at the country estate where when she arrives, she finds out Frances is dead. And so Annie is determined to find out who killed Frances and what happened there. And yeah, it doesn't seem too spooky or too scary, and it seems a little weird, which is kind of my thing, so that's why this is a 5-star prediction. Our second spin. One word title. That might be a little interesting. Prompt number 2 was a one-word title, and for this one I am going to roll over a book from October that I did not get to, but I really want to read, and that is Phantasma by Kaylie Smith. This is everywhere right now in the book community, and I'm feeling a little left out, and since I didn't get to it in October, I want to make sure I read it before fall is over. And in this one, we'll be following our main character, Ophelia, who has just discovered that her mother has been brutally murdered, and her sister has decided to enter Phantasma, which is like this deadly competition where the winner will receive a wish. And so Ophelia feels like the only way to save her sister is to also enter Phantasma, and see what happens. And apparently some stranger has claimed that he can help Ophelia, but it's a deadly game, so can you really trust him? Or and then the tagline says Phantasma only has 2 rules: stay alive and don't fall in love. So I've heard that this is giving like Danny Phantom vibes, like the kids show from Nickelodeon, and also like Throne of the Fallen vibes, which that's what I'm more excited about because I loved Throne of the Fallen. So yeah, excited for this one. Heading into spin number 3. Multiple POVs. Okay, that should be interesting. Our third prompt brought us multiple POVs, and with this one I am choosing The Davenports More Than This by Krystal Marquis, and this is the sequel to The Davenports. This is a YA historical romance basically. So I'm going to tell you about The Davenports so I don't spoil anything for this sequel. And in this, we follow 4 Black girls who are growing up in the 1910s in Chicago. And we have our first POV, Olivia. She is the oldest Davenport daughter. She is just wanting to do what is expected of her, to marry into a good family, to to keep the money rolling and just become a lady and be everything that is expected of her. She ends up meeting a civil rights leader, and he kind of changes her world and exposes her into things that she didn't realize she was sheltered from, and kind of, changes her perspective on life. And we also follow Olivia's little sister, Helen Davenport, who just wants to be in a garage fixing on cars and, not doing things that are deemed to be appropriate for ladies in this era. And we follow Amy Rose, who is the Davenports lady maid in a way, but she also grew up as a friend to the Davenports, but she also wants to open up her own beauty salon and is kind of going through the I don't know the word I'm looking for. She's just going through the steps and trying to make that happen for herself in an era where Black people, but especially Black women, didn't really have, as many opportunities afforded to them. We're also following Olivia's best friend, Ruby, whose father is running to be the first Black mayor of Chicago, but that campaign is draining them of money quickly, so they are trying to hide that they don't have as much money as they had once had, but also keep up appearances and, work through this election and all the things. And Ruby is also supposed to be courting John Davenport, Olivia and Helen's brother, and they've kind of been set up by both sides of the family to get married and combine their families, but not sure if that's what either of them want. So this is chaotic, and there's a bunch of stuff going on, and it's set on the backdrop of the civil rights movement, and the Davenport's father was actually a slave, so he is they're one generation removed, and it's just a lot of things. There's a lot of education, there's a lot of societal things talked about in this, classes and racism, all the things, but it's also really fresh and a really fun take. I think if you are a Bridgerton fan or just a historical romance fan in general, then you should definitely pick this up. I read it in my historical romances vlog, so if you want to go check out like my actual thoughts and learn a little bit more about this book, then you can do that there. Spin number 4. Ooh, I love a good new release. Yeah, this one's gonna be good. Prompt number 4 was a new release, and I have been trying to get to this one as well, and it just hasn't happened yet, but I want to make it a priority for the month of November, and that is The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. I actually have a physical copy of this, but Lex is reading it right now, so I don't want to take that from her. So I'll just pop up the little picture right here. And this says, the gods love to toy with us mere mortals, and every 100 years we let them. Living as a cursed office clerk for the Order of Thieves, I just keep my head down and hope the capricious beings who rule from Olympus won't notice me. Not an easy feat, given San Francisco is Zeus's patron city, but I make do. I survive until the night I tangle with a different god, the worst god, Hades. For the first time ever, the ruthless, mercurial king of the underworld has entered the crucible, the deadly contest the gods hold to determine a new ruler to sit on the throne of Olympus. But instead of fighting their own battles, the gods name mortals to compete in their stead. So why in the underworld did Hades choose me, a sarcastic nobody with a curse on her shoulders, as his champion? And why does my heart trip every time he says I'm his? This just sounds like it's gonna be the cutest thing ever. And not cute in a cutesy way, but cutest thing like I'm going to be like loving this. I think, I hope, I really hope. So yes, The Games Gods Play. Spin number 5. Flowers on the cover. Okay. Prompt number 5 is flowers on the cover, and for that I'm going to choose Murder Your Employer by Rupert Holmes, and this is volume 1 to the McMaster's Guide to Homicide. And so this is a mystery thriller, which I think is going to be kind of like a humorous, sarcastic type, because it is basically about McMaster's conservatory, where future deletists, never murderers, learn the consummate execution of the homicidal arts. And I guess we'll be following these 3 memorable classmates who have suffered menacing employers who richly deserve a deadly denouement. So, under the tutelage of Dean Harbinger Harrow and the fascinating faculty of McMaster's Halls of Poison Ivy, they hone their craft, each hoping to finesse a perfectly masterful murder. So, I think, yeah, this is going to be funny, it's going to be sarcastic, and that's kind of my thing. And yeah, I'm really excited to get into this and see what I think about it. Spin number 6. My favorite color, mostly green cover. Love that for me. Prompt number 6 is a mostly green cover, and for that I'm going to choose Fang Fiction, and this is by Stayman-London. And this is about Tess, who spends her night managing a chic Brooklyn hotel and her days reading her favorite vampire novels, Blood Feud. And there have been conspiracies that Blood Feud is actually real, and Tess finds out that that is true when she ends up meeting the villain of Blood Feud. And so he's trapped, and Tess is the only one that can rescue him. So Tess decides to help him out and to go into the world of Blood Feud, which is basically an island where the sun never shines, and, kind of figure out what's going on. And she ends up falling in love with a vampire as well. And yeah, I love stories about people getting to go into the worlds of their favorite novels. And so I think that this one will be really fun to check out. Let's get into spin number 7. Okay, interesting. Title has more than 3 words. Prompt number 7 is a title that has more than 3 words. And for that one, I'm going with Where We End and Begin by Jane Igharo. And I'm pretty sure this is a second chance romance. It says Dooney hasn't seen her high school boyfriend Obinna since she left Nigeria to attend college in America. Before their devastating separation, they vowed to find their way back to each other one day. Now it's 12 years later, and their vow is a thing of the past. Dooney works as a geneticist in Seattle and is engaged to a man she doesn't love, but whom her parents approve of. Her future is laid out for her, and everything is going according to plan until she returns to Nigeria for a friend's wedding and runs into Obinna. The shy, awkward boy she loved as a teenager is now a sophisticated, confident man. Things have changed, but there's still an undeniable connection between them. And so, yeah, I am usually not a second chance girly, but I think this will be the exception for me because, I mean, high school sweethearts, I feel like high school sweethearts is going to be the exception to me for second chance romances. So, yeah, I'm excited to read this and see what happens. Spin number 8. Ooh, food in the title or on the cover. Prompt number 8 is food in the title or on the cover. And for this one, I'm going to go with the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore. And this has been making the rounds in the book community. And I enjoyed the first one. It was like a fun little palate cleanser. So that's kind of what I'm looking for this book as well. And we'll basically be following Hazel, who owns the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and a secret message turns up hidden in a book, and she is going to try to figure out what this means, and she's going to enlist the help of fisherman Noah, who is always up for an adventure. So yeah, that's what we're going to do with that. And I just think it'll be a fun little cute time. And yeah, spin number 9. Spin number 9. Yes, one of my favorite tropes of all time, the fake dating trope. Love that for me. Prompt number 9 is the fake dating trope, and that is one of my favorite tropes of all time. So I'm super excited. Now I hit my lip that I was able to get this. And for this prompt, I'm going to choose The Dating Playbook by Faridah. And this says, when it comes to personal training, Taylor Powell kicks serious butt. But it seems no matter how much hustle she puts into her business, the bills keep piling up, and now the money situation is dire. She's going to need more help than her best friends Samaya and London can give her. She needs a miracle, and Jamar Dixon just might be it. The oh so fine former footballer wants back in the NFL, and he's convinced Taylor can get him in shape for it. There's just one catch. No one can know she's training him. When they're spotted together by a journalist, Taylor blurts out the first thing that comes into her head, that she's Jamar's girlfriend. Now her game plan is turned completely upside down, and she suddenly can't tell whether Jamar is playing to win or playing for keeps. Sounds super cute. On to spin number 10. Okay. A POC author or main character. Love that for me. Love that for us. Prompt number 10 is a POC author or main character, and for that, I will be choosing Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Faridah Abike-Iyimide, and this is a YA mystery thriller about Sade Hussein, who is moving to Alfred Nobel Academy boarding school. And her first night there, her roommate disappears, and of course, everybody thinks Sade has something to do with it, even though she doesn't. And so while she's there, she runs into this clique of girls called the Unholy Trinity, and they bring her in and kind of, think Mean Girls and the Plastics with Katie Heron. Same kind of situation. Sade feels like people don't really care enough about what happened to her roommate, so she teams up with her roommate's best friend to try to figure out what happened. But Sade is holding some secrets of her own, which are bound to come out while she is investigating. So I'm really excited to get into this. Spin number 11. Hmm. Okay, an audiobook that opens us up to a lot of possibilities. I like that. Prompt number 11 was an audiobook, and for this one, I'm kind of cheating, maybe not. I don't really know, but I do have the audiobook for this, but it's also on Kindle Unlimited, so I think I might do a mixture of both. I haven't really decided yet, but I am going to at least start with the audiobook, so that's why I'm going to count it for this prompt. And that is, I accidentally summoned a demon boyfriend by Jessica Cage. This says, the last single friend in her group and tired of being stood up by her girls, a drunken Raina turns to her first love, a book. After jokingly casting a spell her favorite character used to conjure a loving boyfriend, the results aren't nearly as funny because the damn spell worked, just not in the way she thought it would. Now she has a brooding demon who she needs to sever the magical bond with if she ever wants to live a normal life again. And so, yeah, this is a monster romance. I don't know how I feel about monster romances, so I kind of want to test that out. And this felt like a really good first. Is it the first? I don't know. This felt like a good book to kind of test that with. Spin number 12. New to me author. Okay, I can do that. Prompt number 12 is a new to me author, and for that, I will be choosing Witchful Thinking by Celestine Martin. This is a paranormal romance that will follow Lucinda Carraway, who lives in Freya Grove, this mystic seaside town where charms, hexes, and magical beings of all kinds are the norm. She spends her days teaching high school history and her nights reading tea leaves and tending to her conjure garden. It's a good life, but she can't stop wishing for more until one night that wish turns into a spell, and then Lucinda is not able to say no to anything. She has to say yes to all things, and she ends up running into her high school crush who moves in across the street from her, and apparently his house is jinxed, so she decides to help him unjinx his house, and during that time they may or may not fall in love. So yeah, spin number 13. We live a broad prompt. Fantasy it is. Prompt number 13 is a fantasy, and for that, I'm going to choose Vicious Bonds by Shanora Williams. And this says, I was never meant to live an ordinary life, and when I'm dropped from the sky into a haunting forest facing the barrel of an unknown man's gun, I believe it to be true. Ruler of the Blackwater, Cass Harlow is the man behind the gun. He's brooding, calculating, commanding, and surprisingly, I can hear every thought that runs through his mind. Because I can, he wants me out of this world and sent back to where I came from. So he makes it his mission to find a way. It seems like a simple task until I realize his world is unlike mine, that his is filled with violence, chaos, destruction, and gifted people who can kill you with one look. In his universe, it's hard for a regular human like me to survive, but with Kaz at my side, the possibility is higher. And the more time we spend together, the harder it is for me to ignore the connection that makes me feel alive. He says we're not meant to be, so why does everything about him set my soul on fire? So this sounds like it's going to be fun. It does say that this is a dark fantasy romance and that there will be a lot of violence and stuff in this, so I would check and look further into the content warnings before I pick this up, but I'll also let you know what my thoughts are as far as that goes. Moving to number 14. Another one of my favorite tropes, enemies to lovers. We love to see it. Prompt 14 is another one of my favorite tropes, and that is enemies to lovers. And for this, I want to choose Throne of Secrets by Kerri Maniscalco. I pre-ordered this book, but it has not hit my mailbox yet, so here's a little photo. I keep hitting my lip with the microphone. Gabriel Axton, infamous as the Prince of Gluttony, the self-proclaimed rake of rakes, has always lived for indulgence in delicious food and tantalizing women, and most of all, the thrill of the hunt, where his love of danger can take over. But when his favorite adventure takes a deadly turn, he realizes something is very wrong in his demon court. With the clock ticking, he must turn to the only one who might uncover the truth, a journalist he has spent a decade avoiding. Adriana St. Lucian has been on the hunt for years. If she could just report something damning enough about that no-good scoundrel Gabriel Axton, she knows others would finally see the demon as she does. But she never expected to turn up a rumor too terrifying to be believed. Could the ice dragons to the north be growing restless? Drawn into the secrets of the underworld, Adriana's investigation leads her into the place she dreads most, Axton's infamous court. To stop darkness from falling over their kingdom, Axton and Adriana will have to unite against an escalating danger. But with each holding tight to their own secrets, can they find the truth before it's too late? And what will they do with an equally troubling rumor that they might not actually hate each other after all? Look, I loved Throne of the Fallen. I love this world that Kerri Maniscalco has built, and I'm just excited to be reading something else in here. I'm ready. And we have been getting like glimpses of Adriana and Gluttony since I think Kingdom of the Wicked series. So I'm ready to see what this is. I'm ready. Going into spin number 15. A person on the cover. It should be easy enough. I feel like I have a lot of those in my TBR. Prompt number 15 is a person on the cover, and for that I will be choosing Rosewater by Liv Little. And this has hit so many TBRs and I've never actually gotten around to it. So I'm hoping that I get around to it this time. I do not want to go into 2025 having not read this book. In here we're following 28-year-old Elsie, who lives in London, and she spent her days writing poetry and her nights working long hours at a dive bar. And she is just struggling. She's estranged from her family. She doesn't really feel like she'll make money doing what she loves. So she is just kind of not feeling life right now. She is evicted from her social housing and she ends up turning to her childhood friend Juliet for help. But as the days of Juliet turns into weeks and then months, Elsie finds herself finally being able to breathe. And yeah. So this feels like it'll mainly just be like a character study. We're following Elsie as she like figures out what she wants out of life, who she is, and what will make her happy. And I'm excited because, we are around the same age and I just keep hitting my lip. And I love reading about people my age, especially Black women, and how they're navigating through life. Spin number 16. Now, look, first book in a series. I'm trying to finish series, not start new ones. The spinner wheel did me wrong with this one. So, prompt number 16 is the first book in a series. And for that, I will be going with Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. This book has been haunting me since I picked it up. I don't know why I'm so intimidated by this book. Even though I think I'm going to love it, I'm just very intimidated because I've heard it's kind of weird and you just kind of got to roll with it and it might be a little confusing. So, yeah. But I am excited because who wouldn't want to read about lesbian necromancers? Like, what do you mean? Like, I feel like I need this in my life. And I think it's finally time that I picked this up. I don't have to tell y'all what Gideon the Ninth is about. Like y'all know, this has been making its rounds in the book community for years. And it's just time. It's time. Bin number 17. Now that's just rude. Been on my physical TBR for more than a year. Prompt number 17 also did me dirty because it is a book that has been on my physical TBR for more than a year. Like, you don't have to call me out like that. That's rude. For this one, I will also be choosing one that I've just been putting off for no reason, and that is Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. I'm really excited to pick this up. It sounds like something that I would enjoy. And for this, we are following four young girls who happen to join Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which is established by Queen Elizabeth I. And decades later, the witch community is still reeling from a civil war, and we are just kind of catching up with him and figuring out what is going on. I love witchy things, so yeah. And our last spin. Okay, it was nice to me for the last one. We ended up getting published in the 2020s, so that should be easy enough. And our final prop was a book that was published in the 2020s, and for that I am choosing The Situationship by Taylor-Dior Rumble. And this says, when the love of her life shows up with a girlfriend, Tia decides it's time to put herself out there. Expectations of dating apps are low, so it's a surprise when she instantly connects with handsome photographer Nate. He's everything she's looking for. He makes her feel safe, seen, and desired. Tia assumes they're on the same page. The only catch, they're yet to have the talk. In a generation that's normalized competing over who cares the least, can Tia overcome her fears and lay her cards on the table in pursuit of something real? And in the era of situationships, I feel like this is very relevant. Not to my life, of course, because, whatever. But yeah, I would like to read this and, see what happens. It sounds like it's cute, like it's fun, and like it'll be a little messy. Just a hint. And you know how I feel about messy books. So yes, that completes our November TBR. You know that this is just a list of hopefuls for me. I usually don't get through 18 books a month. That is just not what I do. But I am a bit of a mood reader who needs structure. So I can't just like look at my whole library and choose a book that's too overwhelming. So I like to create these lists of about 18 to 20 that I can pull from through the month. So yeah, that's what this is. And if you've read any of these books, please let me know what you thought of them. And if you have any recommendations for me, as always, drop those in the comments as well. And I think that is it for us. So I would like to thank you for staying until the end of the video. And I hope that you have the best day that you possibly can. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.